Welcome to the 3 Knockdown Rule. Starring Mario Lopez and Steve Kim. Presented by Hustler Casino.
Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe to our show on YouTube. It's fun, it's funny. I break this guy's balls. His wig looks crazy every week, but it's still worth doing it. Check out these badass shows. Check it out.
Even though Mario's on it, you'll still learn something, and it's still some insightful analysis. And then I bring the funny, and I don't know what he brings.
No.
What are you talking about? I'm the star of the show here.
You bring the grumpy.
Oh, but the grumpy. Anyway,
I'll bring
like
the
and subscribe.
Yes,
3 Knockdown
we
Rule.
appreciate you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 3 Knockdown Rule is in effect, brought to you by Hustler Casino. I'm Steve Kim, joined by Mario Lopez.
My God, that was so funny. Watching TV, I caught a straight compliment right there. Shout out to Smoking Tim Frazier on the ones and twos.
And the bout sheet, very simple show. The Desert Storm is rejoining us on the championship hotline.
This show is also brought to you by LifeRx.md. Summer's coming. It's time to get your body right. If you're trying to lose weight, look and feel your best, our partners here at LifeRx.md will connect you with a licensed telehealth provider in your area that'll create a custom treatment plan that is best for you. So go to LifeRx.md and use code 3KR and get your initial consultation for $49.95.
Also, this podcast is brought to you by Hustler Casino. Join us on Sunday, June 22nd, as Hustler Casino celebrates 25 years of big wins and unforgettable jackpots as LA's only luxury casino. They're marking the occasion with over $55,000 in cash giveaways, free cake, and exciting prizes. Start by playing now to earn the entries for the big prize drawings happening that day. See you there. All right, when we come back, we go to the championship hotline, and we're joined by the Desert Storm, Tim Bradley.
Catch it streaming live right on YouTube.
Welcome to the big leagues, kid.
$1.2 million.
And I'm losing in this fucking game. What the fuck?
There's a 400K flip. If I win by way, you get 10 grand.
Fucking straddle!
For my fans! Why? I read it twice!
Wow. All in a call.
I'm not fucking leaving!
Raise it up.
All right, we're back on the 3 Knockdown Rule, brought to you by Hustler Casino. And this is a guy, this is the toughest guy to book. He's got a lot of stuff going on, business duties, family responsibilities, but live from the mobile studio, it's the Desert Storm, Tim Bradley.
I don't care what you say about him, Kim. I like me some Tim Bradley, dude.
Don't listen.
Hey, bro. Hey, guys. I'm missing my son's championship game for you guys, man. So
we got to jump in there. Hey, well, we're Gang Green today. We're represented.
Yeah, you know what it is. I love that green.
All right.
Dive in.
So, Tim, a lot of stuff going on. Let's fast forward and then rewind first. You were there in San Diego at the Pachanga. Not casino, but the arena, and you were right on the call. A lot of controversy. Emmanuel Navarrete, Charlie Suarez. We know the way the fight turned out. And then right as you guys go off the air, they showed the replay where it was a punch from Suarez. I know we spoke the day after that, Tim. When you're in the arena that night, you first immediately said, hey, that's a punch. That should be a TKO. And then you kind of switched and changed your mind.
Yeah.
When you saw that replay, did you say, geez, what did I do here?
Yeah, absolutely. I should have went with my original thought, process. I did see the punch land. However, again, I go to these seminars and stuff, referee seminars, judging seminars and stuff, and I've seen video, similar to this, not like this, but similar to this, and why certain things are called a certain way. So when I saw the heads collide, I almost knew, like, okay, the replay official saw these heads collide, although they collided kind of in a different spot, but they still collided. I was like, and they didn't see the punch that actually landed. We didn't get that shot till afterwards, right? That zoomed in shot to where you can see the punch land and you can see the actual cut open up on that eye. So look, I knew they weren't going to call it from a punch. I knew they were going to call it a headbutt, and that's the reason why I switched up. But obviously, it was from a freaking punch, man.
It's hard when it's heat of the moment. Both yourself calling the fight, the ref. I blame it on the director, because the director who's called, he's got to go to those angles, especially in a controversial moment there, or in a moment where there's a little debate. You got to go immediately, all your cutaway shots, to be able to make that right call, because unfortunately it cost him the fight. Now, granted, it looks like there's going to be another rematch, but he's not going in with the financial now.
That's a disadvantage.
It's a disadvantage. That's exactly what I'm saying. The disadvantage, and so it sucks because we do have the technology. It is difficult, but I got a little on the director.
Well, wait. Don't, before you come at my director, man. Listen to me. The rule is, wait up, Mario. The rule is you got a minute. You got a minute, man.
Oh, I know.
And you got to find the best possible angle in a minute time, right? And so afterwards, after blowing it up and all that, you can't do all of that in a minute, man.
Hey, man, a little about TV. You can get those angles and you can get those cutaways.
Man,
I put a little bit, and it was a little longer than a minute. So I'm saying that director should have had a little bit. Now, granted, he's got a lot going on his plate, and again, in the moment, it's live, it's happening. So it's tough. But had he done that, we would have had a different outcome.
Yeah, I'll say this: they did zoom in on it, but again, as Tim says, it's only 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Tim, here's the unfortunate part for Charlie Suarez. And I look back at fights like Roberto Duran against Ray Leonard, 5-6 months apart. It's a different guy. And I think it's unfair to Suarez in a sense that he'll never face that version of Navarrete again.
Right. Totally agree. Because Navarrete struggled to make weight. He was definitely weakened by that. I felt like Suarez was finally starting to turn the fight, especially when he saw that blood and he was able to produce that cut. It was going down south for Navarrete fast, man. It really was, but we'll never know because the fight was stopped. So,
Tim, this week, I believe you'll be in Norfolk, Virginia. Keyshawn Davis will be taking on Edwin De Los Santos. Now, on paper, this is a good fight, but here's the problem, though, Tim. How much is this layoff of De Los Santos going to affect him? We literally have not seen him since November of 2023. That track meet
when he fought with Tank.
Shakur Stevenson.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right.
Damn, I didn't even know it was that damn long. I thought it was a year. It's longer than a year.
It's a year and a half.
Wow, that's
look. I said this. Look, De Los Santos, to me, I think he's a world-class athlete or a world-class fighter. He has world-class potential. His fight with Shakur Stevenson, yes, it was lackluster. Yes, whatever you want to say. However, he had Shakur Stevenson spooked with that punching power and that hand speed. I'm going to tell you right now, if you give me a 9 out of 10, De Los Santos, the one that got in the ring with Shakur Stevenson, man, I'm telling you, this is going to be a very interesting fight. His first step, how quickly he explodes into range, how quickly he let those punches go. He has a straight left hand. He also has a nasty right hook as well. He goes well down to the body. He's kind of spiteful too. You can bag him up, but damn, if you bag him up, it's dangerous because he will come right back with some explosive combinations. So I think he's a tricky fighter. But again, it depends on which version we're going to get of him. A year and a half layoff, that's a long time, man. That inactivity definitely, I would say, harasses or takes away from your career, man.
Absolutely. I agree. And I agree with you with the same points, too. I think he is a talented guy, and I think he's a dangerous guy. But so is Keyshawn Davis.
Yeah.
And I think Keyshawn is going to be well prepared. He's going to be a little bit more, I think, on point. And I think he knows what's in front of him. So if he's able to come away victorious, I think that's a nice little notch on his resume.
Keep this in mind for Keyshawn Davis. This will be his third fight since November.
That means a lot.
What do we say here? Activity matters. And look, De Los Santos has more natural talent than Baranchik, who Davis won the title from. But again, the activity, the ring rust, all of that is a factor. Tim, also on this card, Abdullah Mason continues his development. Let's go back to November. I was stunned. I was actually in Atlanta for the Miami-Georgia Tech game, and I'm seeing highlights of Abdullah Mason getting splattered all over the canvas that night. Was that a blip on the radar, or are you still alarmed by what happened that night, Tim?
Nah. I mean, look, some of the greatest fighters, man. Andre Ward went down, early in his career, and many people felt like, oh, he wasn't going to materialize and become anything or who he is today. So, I think that was just a wake-up call. Sometimes it's better to happen when you're actually younger as a fighter than to happen, in a big fight. So I'm glad he's got over that. I'm glad he went down. Moving forward, he is facing a puncher, man. Nakatila can punch. But I just think that since that knockdown, I think he's gotten a lot better. I know that he's improved on his defense. You can hear his father in the corner telling him, keep that left hand up or keep that right hand up, because he doesn't want him to get caught with that same shot. But man, I just think that I think he's one of the best, most talented young fighters right now today. And I don't see Nakatila beating this guy, man. I see him knocking out Nakatila.
Yeah, I like him too. I think he's a talented kid, and I agree. Look, remember when De La Hoya got dropped too by
Narciso
Valenzuela
and Campanella,
and it was it's a counter left hook, I think, and he got hit hard, and then I don't think we saw Oscar get dropped until he fought Hopkins or something.
Well, that was 130, and
no,
so his legs were not there.
Well, nevertheless,
he went to his chin.
But he was young. He was, on fire early in his career, and it could be a wake up call, and you could learn and become better from it.
Every time I think of Nakatila, the name, I think of Tim Bradley's classic line, last few seconds against Shakur Stevenson. It's real quiet. It's kind of a dreary fight, and Tim just blurts out, "Man, I need a pillow after this fight." Shakur was pissed off all now. Yeah, Tim, I'll never forget that line. Tim, let's go back. The boxing weekend, Cinco de Mayo, we'll talk about the whole weekend, but let's go with the best first. Inoue, the monster, had to get off the canvas, and he beats a game guy. And now moving forward, the question is, at 22, and now facing MJ Akhmadaliev moving forward, in your view, Tim, is there now vulnerability with Inoue?
Wait. You said he's 22 or he's 32?
Well, he's at 122.
At 122. Okay. I thought you meant talking about his age.
Right.
No, I've always, listen to me. I've always seen vulnerability in Inoue's game, but that's what makes him so exciting to me. I think every fighter, there's holes to every fighter in their game. Inoue particularly likes to fight. When he gets in there with punchers, there's a possibility he will go down. But I remember guys like Tito Trinidad, who would get knocked down, and then if you didn't stop him, he gets up and he finishes you. That mentality reminds me of Tito, Inoue's mentality. You may drop him, but if he gets up, guess what? You're going to take fire in return. So, no, I'm not worried about Inoue moving forward. Yes, there are some vulnerabilities. However, man, that heart, that lion that he has inside, man, he always brings it out, and he always finds a way to win. So I'm good. I think MJ, to be honest with you, I think MJ will be a tough challenge. I think Inoue can beat him. However, if MJ does have, hold up. I believe Inoue can beat him, but if MJ has a great game plan, I think that he could beat Inoue or upset Inoue.
I agree. Inoue is a special fighter. I've never seen a fighter with so much torque behind his punches. Yeah. He really sits in it's like a wind-up doll, and just boom, and he comes back. And the Trinidad reference is a great reference, because after he got dropped, it was like he woke up and went to another level and ended up knocking his opponent out. And he's definitely one of the most exciting fighters, and still pound for pound on top with me. But here's the fight that I really love to see, and I think it'd be very interesting, and I think it's a dangerous fight for Inoue, is Rafa.
Espinoza.
Ooh. I like the length. I like the height. I like how he fights inside. That's a very interesting fight. Do you like that fight, Tim?
I like that fight. It's a very dangerous fight for both guys. I just think Rafael, he gets hit too much, man. I've told him even after the fight, he pulls me to the side and says, "Hey, what do you think?" And I'm like, "Man, you get hit too much. I don't care if it doesn't hurt. That's not the point. The point is that you're creating these habits, and you're gonna take it into your next fight. So continue to work on your defense, man. And so he was like, okay, I get you. Because if he fights a guy like Inoue that punches as hard as Inoue, with the speed and the combinations, I mean, he can be overwhelmed and he can be stopped. So I've always said that Espinoza, if the only way he gonna lose, he got to get knocked out because he has a big heart.
Yeah.
He has a high revving motor. He can box on the outside. He can also box in close quarters. So Inoue having that punching power, yes, he can hurt him. And there's a possibility he can stop him. But, yeah, that's a dangerous fight for both guys. But I think I would probably favor Inoue in that fight, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't dispute that. I just think that's a fight that would provide a lot of fireworks to be an awesome, entertaining fight.
Yeah, going back to Akhmadaliev, he fought this past weekend in Guadalajara, got 8 rounds in. So this will be his 3rd fight since December when you come into September. So there won't be any ring rust. And Akhmadaliev, what is he? He's a southpaw. What has given Inoue some problems since the Neri fight, the left hand. And Tim, if you are Inoue's father, this whole camp, knowing what you know for the last couple of fights, do you just work on that son having that cell phone right next to his ear? Is that what you're working on the whole time during sparring and doing drills?
Look, yeah, you can work on that, but it's more detailed than that, man. I don't want to give it away. Inoue is a tremendous fighter, but it's a little bit more detailed. If you go back and just watch that fight with Cardenas, he walked him into that shot. That shot was actually set up. It wasn't something just, he caught him out of the blue. No, it was set up because I'll give you this. You're able to set up lateral traps with Inoue because sometimes he goes against the grain. So footwork wise, if you go back and then watch him when he gets in position and he gets into mid-range, he moves his lead foot first to move right. All right. And that's the issue. That was the issue. He moved his lead foot first. You're supposed to move your back foot first. And that enables you to be able to keep your distance. All right. He didn't do that. He brought his lead foot first to try to cut him off. Then he brought his right foot and you had Cardenas came right back, snap right back with I call it a springboard left hook. Joel teaches this shot. I use this shot a lot to land and hurt my opponents a lot of times in my fights, man, where you're moving left and you swing back right real quickly. And he put Inoue on the canvas. But, yeah, I think a southpaw definitely will give Inoue problems. I know he's been trying to master that style. Doheny had a little success, but he's a lot older, until he got his back broken by Inoue. But yeah, I think MJ definitely has a good ass chance. If he has, again, he needs to have a great game plan, and he can beat Inoue, I believe.
That little nuance that you mentioned with the foot too. That's sort of a habit for him. I think you start feeling comfortable and getting away with stuff when you're that as talented, but you're a sneaky, clever guy like Cardenas, and especially with like that check hook, and the way he pivoted to the right there, you're not able to be as reflexive and as quick. Yeah. So who knows if it changes or maybe he starts to work on that and improves. But yeah, there is vulnerabilities.
And keep this in mind. You mentioned Joel Diaz, your old trainer. You know who Akhmadaliev works with? Joel Diaz.
Joel Diaz.
There's some familiarity with that whole thing. Tim, going back to that whole Cinco de Mayo boxing palooza, which on Friday and Saturday was not exactly the best showing for boxing. And you made it very clear. You think a lot of these fighters are getting overpaid. You think they're resting on their laurels, and you think there's a sense of complacency and entitlement that is brought on by the new pay structure. But Tim, I have a question, because you were a fighter and you earned a lot of money, and you make money. We all make money. But have you ever gotten a job and they offer you a lot and you're like, no, pay me less. I want to stay motivated. Isn't it human nature to always get the most amount of money you can possibly get? Am I wrong in this?
That's common sense.
Right.
No, I mean, look, you want to get the most possible, the money from it. I understand that. But when you're overpaying these guys and they're not earning it, then that's different. I just think it's different. A lot of these guys ain't worth the money that they're getting paid. They haven't worked their way up to get to that money. So that's the problem. You just giving it to them, for free, and they're not coming and they're not showing up and performing. That's the issue that I'm having with these guys. And I know what you're going to say, character.
Yeah.
I understand that. Yes, that is a part of it as well. the character of the fighter has definitely changed. But I just think that these guys are a lot softer than what they were in the past, man. It can be social media, sense of entitlement. Again, a lot of these guys, they just want, and that's it. And they're not willing to give, the sport, something to be excited about. So that's the problem that I'm having with a lot of these young guys now today, man.
I agree with that 100%. I also think that the people they surround themselves with, and I think social media has plays a big part in that. They're not either getting the right guidance, or the message is not coming clear.
Nobody tells them
the truth. The wrong message, and they're not. Yeah, you're exactly right.
But Tim, let's go back. We discussed this a couple of weeks ago. Whether you got $500,000 or several $1 million, that never changed your effort, though, Tim. At least not with you.
No, not with me. However, I'll tell you this. The more and more money I did make over the course of my career, especially in the later half, the less and less I fought. 1, 2, I became lazier. Not gonna lie, I definitely became lazier because now I'm a millionaire. I got money. I don't have to worry about where I'm gonna get the money to pay, for my lights to be on in the house and to pay for my mortgage payment. Like everything is all fine and dandy. So you start doing less and less as you move forward. It's kind of natural, man. And you got to fight from that. You got to fight from being complacent, that complacency. You got to fight through that, man. So look, a lot of these guys are making a lot of money, and they're making a lot of money early, and they're making it fast. There's really no sacrifice. There's really no worry. They're good. Their second and third fight is already lined up already. It doesn't matter if you come into the ring and you perform, at your greatest, or, you perform like crap, similar to what Canelo did, similar to what, Ryan Garcia did, and so on and so forth. Even Devin Haney, these guys are not hungry, man. They're not hungry to prove anything because they already got everything. That's the problem.
So you're talking about the old Marvin Hagler silk pajama.
Yeah,
that's
analogy. A real thing.
Before we move into what we really want to talk about real quickly, Ryan Garcia, do you think that performance was baffling in a sense that as soon as he hit that canvas in round number 2, Mario, it seemed like he did not want to be there. Did you see that, Tim?
Kim, for the record, I told Kim, too, I said, I'm telling you, I think that Romero is dangerous. I think he's going to be stronger at this weight class. He's sort of awkward to his benefit. And if he's able to rock him early, it's going to change his whole thing after him being gone for a year. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, well, you were right. You were absolutely right, because a lot of us was picking, even including myself, I picked Ryan Garcia to win. I just think that he's just a more talented fighter. I thought he was going to be able to land that left hook. All he had to do was get aggressive. But, he came in there, his mentality wasn't there. He didn't have the killer mentality. And I wonder why. This guy makes a lot of money again outside the ring. I really don't even think Ryan Garcia really wants to truly fight. He just fights because it's what he knows. That's it. It's not what he really wants to do.
Irony. So go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
So one more thing. So if he if he comes into his next fight and he has that same nature, he needs to go ahead and hang up the gloves, man. Go ahead and hang them up.
The irony in that is that in this fight, he actually looked like he was focused. He was training hard. The shenanigans weren't there. We're like, whoa, we're going to see a different Ryan than we saw the one in Haney. But all the craziness and the partying with Haney, then he got in, he let them hands go. He looked like a killer in there. So I'm thinking, does my dude need to start partying again, or what's
that's called
the craziest thing.
That's called PEDs. That's what that's called.
Oh, yeah, he went there. That's a boy, Tim.
That's called PEDs.
Okay.
Look, I've talked to people that are experts in the field, and they will tell you that when you get off of them, it's not just a physical impact,
right?
It's psychological. Sure. There's like this reverse placebo effect.
Right.
Tim, real quickly, is Devin Haney seeing ghosts in that ring? He looked like a guy who simply did not want to engage against Jose Ramirez.
Man, he was scared as hell inside that ring, man. God, man, I'm telling you, look. People can't say nothing to me when I say this, because guess what? I had a fight of the year with Ruslan Pavannikov, and I came back and I fought Marquez, but I didn't fight him like that. Yeah. I didn't run around the ring like a chicken like that. I boxed his ears off. That's what I did. Devin Haney ran around the ring. That's not strategic. That's not boxing at all. That is not boxing. That is not the sweet science of boxing. I don't give a damn what anybody say. This when you go around the ring and you don't throw a punch for 2.5 minutes. Come on, man. That's not boxing. Ain't nobody trying to see no damn track meet. You know, Devin Haney, what he's doing is he's just dropping his stock even more fighting the way he's fighting. I don't care. You're getting paid. You're making your money, but you're looking silly doing it. If that's what you want out of boxing, then be my guest. But however, that's not boxing, people. That's not what I was raised up on.
No, I mean, I think it speaks more to your character and psyche, Tim. The thing about Devin Haney, too, is post that Ryan Garcia fight, my guy, I felt, handled it as poorly as a person could. Had he just been quiet and let this, especially after Garcia got pinched with the PEDs, he would have garnered a lot of sympathy. He would have, you know what I'm saying? I think people would have been rooting for him.
The lawsuit. The lawsuit.
The lawsuit, the social media antics, his old man popping off at the mouth. And then you're going to fight like that? Bro.
Yeah, and I don't
you know what I'm saying? Had he just chilled? He just needed to chill. And I think the public and the people would have kind of had his back.
And Mario, I don't think it's fun telling people that we have to like this. I mean, if you're a restaurant that gives everyone food poisoning, we don't have to like your menu. In fact, we don't even have to go to that particular eatery.
Yeah.
So let's get into this.
But real quick, because another fighter you didn't mention that night who did actually look pretty sharp was Teofimo. You know, and then Teofimo's one of those guys, I'm so fascinated with him because he's so incredibly talented, but he doesn't, and he rises to his level of opposition, right? Beat Loma at his peak, beat Josh Taylor at his peak, beat a surging Barboza who was going in with a lot of confidence, looking good after, who did he beat, Catterall prior to that? Yeah. And then we just showed how sharp he still is in this last performance. But then his antics outside of it, I'm so confused with this kid. He's like all talent and I don't know what's going on. He's such a, it's so frustrating, I think is the word, right?
He's dumb. Dummy. Straight up dummy. Stupidity. You know, the stuff that he says and the stuff that comes out of his mouth, he needs to be slapped. You know, he needs to be muted, period. Like, somebody needs to take his social media away. You see him, you know, begging Turkey because he said some outlandish stuff and Turkey was like, yo, we no longer in the Teofimo Lopez business. You know, like, he needs to chill out, man.
That's what I don't understand.
Like, well, no.
He is an attention whore. That's what he is. Attention whore. Straight up. You know, and he needs to be checked.
He's so up to be provocative. And you're just, first of all, last week he called him a dictator. The spelling was a little bit different, added the K.
Yeah.
And then a couple days later, he's bending the knee. I actually think that the fight with Haney, there's a very good chance that actually happens in August. Because, again, for all that he talks about being independent, it's the takeover. All he's ever done is basically go back. We went back to Top Rank a couple of times. He burned the bridge with Turkey. Then he, now he's made up.
I just said, Haney, if he would have just chilled, if Teofimo would have just chilled, well, and shut up and just relax. I think it's a lot of Tim, that generation too. I feel like they need to have that sort of Conor McGregor kind of attitude.
I agree, but
which is so unfortunate.
But Teofimo, to Tim's point, do you remember what he did 2-3 days after he beat Josh Taylor? Remember what he did on
retired?
He retired.
Like, bro, that's
okay.
Come on.
That didn't exactly whet the appetite for you.
At every height in his career, he always did something stupid and said something dumb afterwards, or did some stupidity business move. You know, like fighting on Triller and losing to Cambosis, and then after he beat, of course, Lomachenko, and then retiring right after he beats Taylor.
Like him.
You're right. He hasn't been able to parlay these big fights. Well, you can't parlay these into other things. You're right.
Well, and for the record, he never actually fought on Triller, but we were on Triller for a while.
Well, yeah, you know what I mean. But he wanted the money. He wanted the money.
Tim, let's clear the stage. Let's clear the stage. Oh, this is what I've been waiting for.
What you been waiting on?
Oh, you know what? Oh, I'm just going to leave the room for about 20 minutes. But, Tim, based on what you saw on May 4th in Saudi Arabia, Canelo Alvarez beats William Skull. Do you feel any... Well, hold on. Do you feel any differently about what's going to take place in mid-September with him and Terrence Crawford? The stage is yours.
I've already told you guys already. I was one of the first ones, and I'm gonna say the second. I think Breadman was the first. I was the second guy to say that Crawford gonna beat down or beat up Canelo Alvarez. And I'm standing on that. 1000%. Did you see how Canelo, how lackluster his last performance was? Like, you going into one of the biggest fights of your career, and you have coming off a lackluster performance against a mover like Skulls, and you didn't have the energy or the want to even want to cut off the ring, chase this guy around, and really inflict some damage on him. So you tell me, you putting the best fighter in the world today, who is Terrence Crawford, the most skillful fighter today, and you're going in the ring against that guy, a guy that's superior ring IQ, absolutely. That can strategically move around you, make you pick up your feet, make you find him, and counter the crap out of you. That has a 4-inch reach advantage on you. All right, I'll give you the weight, Canelo. That's fine, but the height, they around the same height. I saw him in the ring when they were standing next to Turkey. He's not that big. He's bulky, stocky, slow feet. Did you see how slow his feet was? Did you see how Skulls made him miss with them wide left hooks and overhand rights? Oh my gosh, it was too easy. If Skulls would have put together some combinations, he would have beat. If he would have believed in himself a little bit more, he would have beat Canelo on that night. What you think Crawford gonna do to him?
Mario?
If he did this, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. There's a lot of...
Okay, Polly.
Wait, hold on a second. I'll let you speak. Now let me speak. Look, I love you, and I love me some Crawford. I have to preface it by saying that. I really do. I'm the biggest Crawford fan. That's the crazy thing right here. And I give him mad props because when Mayweather fought Canelo very early in his career, remember he weight drained him and made him go down a couple.
Catch weight.
No, wait. I gotta stop you there. Hold up.
Did he go down to 152 or not? Did he go down to 152?
Actually, he did.
He went down to 152.
Canelo said he would. That's a difference.
That doesn't matter, though. I didn't interrupt you, so let me finish.
All right, my bad.
He made him go down to 152. The weight class was 154. Yeah. He made him go down to 152. And there was a rehydration clause the next day. And there was that. Mind you, and he was young. So that's why I'm giving Crawford props. He's going up 2 weight classes. Yeah. No rehydration clause. He's a G. I love him for that. And I love that he's going to get paid and finally have this big payday in this moment in the sun and a chance to really go legendary. Do I think he can beat him? Yes, he can beat him. A pitcher can throw a perfect game, but you know how many thousands of baseball games have been played and there hasn't been that many perfect games? So it's possible, yes. However, what I look at are just the facts of what my eyes tell me. Let's go to that one fight. Look, my guy was already paid, much to like you said earlier, Tim, where he was getting this guaranteed money. And when William Skull decided to beat Usain Bolt, he was like, fuck this, I ain't chasing this motherfucker then. And I don't think he already got it in the bag. I'm a safe, coast it in, because I got the big fight with Crawford, okay? So you can't hit what you can't catch. That fool was Usain Bolt all the way around with a little Michael Johnson with the spins right there. Now, look at this. If it was a Crawford, a very young Crawford, a la Pacquiao when he fought De La Hoya, that would be different. We're talking an older Crawford. A Crawford that's even older than Canelo, okay? And we're talking a Crawford who, last time I saw him, and I was at that fight, he had a very, very tough fight, close fight. Some thought he lost that fight against Madrimov, and that was a 154. When Madrimov hit him with that straight right, I saw that fool go, whoa. And then it became a very different fight. Now you're asking him to go 2 weight classes above that after a year layoff.
Yeah.
That's a lot. And the fact that he's getting heavier, Crawford, I don't like that. Because I think Crawford, it's much to his detriment. He's quicker and he's better when he's fleet of foot. Speaking of which, in this last fight, he didn't look springy to me. Those feet didn't look as springy. And to fight in and out, to have that skull type of effect to go, I didn't see that in Crawford. Okay, he's still brilliant and still in the pocket. And another thing, I think Crawford, because he's a dog, will stand there and fight with him, and that's going to be much to his detriment. Golovkin, Kovalev, even big-ass Berlanga, dudes that can really crack, did not ever buzz or put down Canelo. I don't think anything Crawford comes with, he's going to hurt him, and it's going to make him respect. I think Crawford will stand and trade with him. I think he might have some success early. I think Canelo will continue to put that pressure. And start packing in the rounds in the middle until late, and I think you'll end up winning by a decision. That's what I think odds say to me will happen. And you say he's not that much bigger. You're right. The height is about the same. But when you saw him like this, fucking Canelo's like this thick, bro. Crawford's like this thick. Canelo's like this thick with a neck like a Brahma bull. So I think once he starts feeling those shots to the body and feeling those shots to the arms and starts to drop, it's going to get very, very interesting. So can he do it, Crawford? Yes, like I say, a pitcher can pitch a perfect game. Odds are, for the reasons I listed, I like Canelo in this fight.
Tim, your rebuttal?
You're talking about the Madrimov fight. You're talking about a completely different style. You're talking about a jumping bean, a guy going in and out, changing the ranges, making it difficult for Crawford to time him. Styles make fights. Canelo's a slow-footed plotter. Slow-footed plotter. Everything Canelo throws is hard. He loads up on everything. You don't think someone with Crawford's eyes is going to be able to see that? Canelo doesn't do well against southpaws either, at all. He didn't do well against Laura. You know, Ryder was having success, catching him with uppercuts, splitting that guard with uppercuts on the inside. Ryder was able to take some of those punches as well from Canelo Alvarez. When was the last time the Canelo knocked anybody out? He thumping, but he ain't hitting that hard. He couldn't knock out a 54 Charlo. He couldn't knock him out, you know. And when I'm looking at these styles, I'm looking at what throws off Canelo. One, movement. You can have a good jab. If you have a good jab, that throws off Canelo Alvarez too. Crawford has a 74-inch reach. He can jab you from the left side or jab you from the right side. Also, you know what else throws off a counter puncher like a Canelo Alvarez? Feints. Feints. That can throw him off as well. You saw Berlanga when he would feint him, you know, and just stick his hand out there and kind of measure and use that long guard. Canelo slowed the hell down. He didn't want to attack. There's areas where I see, look, the challenge absolutely is tough because there's weight classes for a reason. Absolutely. And Canelo and Crawford being as small as he is, if Canelo lands one of those bombs or exchange with Crawford, as you mentioned, absolutely, there is definitely some concern there. However, I'm thinking Crawford's going to be heightened. Sensitivity, eyes, going to be heightened. You remember when Mayweather fought him? Mayweather's eyes are so damn big. Mayweather's hypersensitive, and he didn't allow Canelo to land anything on him. Well, guess what happens with Crawford when Crawford gets in the ring with him? All his senses is going to be heightened because of that punching power. He's going to be able to avoid it. He's going to be thinking faster. He's going to be letting his hands go at the right time. I feel that Crawford also has the conditioning late. Okay, Canelo. Once you start seeing Canelo Alvarez, when he drops from that high guard and he starts walking forward, guess what? He's frustrated. That's the problem with Canelo. So I see all these patterns from Canelo Alvarez that I see a guy like Crawford with his class and IQ is going to be able to take advantage of. There's opportunities at hand for him, man. There's limited opportunities at Crawford. Now, okay, we say the right hand. Crawford eats right hands. All right, yeah, he does. He typically gets hit with right hands. But if he's working on that, which I know his team, Bo Mack and his team are great. They do film study now. They do. Yep. They're going to be highly aware of that, and they're going to make sure that he is ready to be able to avoid that right hand of Canelo Alvarez.
Okay, hold on. Mario, final rebuttal.
Valid points. However, I would agree with you if we were talking about a younger Crawford. The last Crawford I saw, like I said, he wasn't as springy. Those feet didn't look as fleet as foot. He's never been as fast feet-wise as Mayweather, and you mentioned like a Lara. He's always he's quick, but he's not like those guys. And he likes to stay. He doesn't have to be. He likes to stay in trade, and his reflexes are there. I think all that is slowed down, and I agree with you that Canelo has slowed down as well. But I think Canelo respects him a lot. He's going to prepare properly, and he does plot his feet because every shot's a fucking power shot. He likes to play because every shot he loads up. Well, even if he starts landing on the arms and the hips of Crawford, he's going to start feeling that shit, and it's going to start catching up after time. I honestly feel how the fight would go. Crawford is going to have some success early. Canelo's going to realize this fool can't hurt me. He's going to start taking more risks, be more in the middle. Crawford's ego is going to want to trade him a little bit more. He might get caught with something. Then he's going to start to get on his back pedal. He'll start to cut it off. He'll be busier and just start banking rounds right there. That's how I see. I think both of them have they're just on the back nine of their career, not to take, and both of them diminished. And because of the weight class difference is the only or the major reason that I'm taking Canelo. Just like I wouldn't take Canelo had he jumped up and wanted to fight better BF. Or even B-ball again. It's the same reason. It's nothing like this. It's just the same reason.
Well, I'm just going to say this. I hope when this fight happens, I hope we're doing an alternate broadcast with Tim and Mario Lopez. And
I thought we both gave solid points.
No, I thought that was. I feel like Megan Kelly. This is what it feels like. The big.
I thought you gave solid points. I know you gave solid points as well, man. You know your boxing, man. And
Thank you.
Solid points, and it makes a lot of sense of what you're saying. However, it's not going to happen. Whoop that ass.
Hey,
whoop that ass.
You know what? I honestly think though we won't get a stinker. That's the thing, because a lot of these big fights, you end up sometimes you get the possibility of stinker. I don't think this will be a letdown. So I think who definitely wins. The public is going to win.
Tim, final question from me. Lamont Roach, I think he has the style, skill, and now the confidence to give Tank Davis problems again. I don't think what happened in March was a fluke. Agree or disagree?
Yeah, I agree. I agree to a certain degree. He can be overconfident too, and then run into a shot that he doesn't see. So he just got to stay calm, cool, and collected. Do exactly what he did the first time around. It worked the first time. What much more can Tank do? Besides turn it up a little bit more. So I think it's another interesting fight, another close fight. Both guys gonna have to dig down deep. Again, I favor Tank once again in this rematch. However, hey, Lamont, I think he can win it too, but I'm picking Tank on this one, man.
I've always loved me some Tank, but I was really impressed and have a whole new respect for Lamont. And he was so composed in there, too, and didn't look intimidated at all. And I was surprised going up a weight. He looked strong.
Yeah.
He looked like a strong dude. And I don't know if it's just how sometimes, Vernon Forrest had Shane Mosley's number. Just sometimes dudes have his number. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but you are right, and you make a good point. If he does go, I don't want to say overconfident, but maybe as opposed to letting the combo go, setting it, moving his feet and this and that. If he wants to stay in the pocket, that's a lot of firepower coming back. So it's going to be interesting to see his approach. But I'm looking forward to that one.
He has to be aggressive without being reckless. Tim, final question from me. Over the weekend, it was revealed that Jaime Munguia failed a drug test. And he is with that Reynoso camp. Now, whether that's fair or not, people are making the inference that, hey, this is suspicious. What are your thoughts on that whole situation?
Man, you don't want to know my thoughts? Yeah, you do. Anyway, look, listen to me, man. That whole suspicion of the Canelo camp being dirty. I mean, how many more examples do we need? Okay, even going back when Canelo tested positive for that Cumberbatch. All right, there's a history coming from this camp. Okay, now I'm gonna tell you this. Reynoso, I know everybody's blaming him, and he probably knows who's actually giving it to these fighters. However, he's not putting a gun to these fighters' head. I'm sure Reynoso's not paying, these guys that are giving these guys these drugs, So, look, it's not Reynoso's fault. It's the fighters' fault because, one, they don't believe in themselves. Two, they want to remain at the very top. Munguia got his ass knocked out against this guy that only had 4 or 5 knockouts, a handful of knockouts. So he coming back and he's saying, I can't afford to lose this fight. Well, let me get some of these performance enhancement drugs. He goes in there, he wins the fight, he pops dirty. A lot of times when these guys are using these performance enhancement drugs, it's for 2 reasons. 1, they don't believe in themselves. 2, because they want to stay at the very top and be able to, because again, if you lose the fight, it's like nowadays, even back in the days, man, if you lost the fight, guess what happens? Your pay grade or your pay scale drops. And they don't want that.
La carne asada over there.
Órale.
La carne asada.
All right. Well, Tim,
look, man.
I'm kidding about that.
No, you're not. You're not kidding about that. Hell no.
I'm joking. That's ridiculous.
Because that was the excuse.
That's what I'm saying. I was joking. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's not the truth. The truth is, yes, drugs are being used throughout that camp. We need to find out who's giving it to them.
Mm-hmm. Mario, let me start the jokes here. Okay, let's know our roles here. Let me do the jokes here.
You should have hit that one.
All right, Tim. As always, we appreciate your time. I cannot wait to join us when you're in LA. Let us know. We want to bring you in studio.
Hey, bro. You know me, I live at the soccer field with my kids. Hey, by the way, my son's team did win the championship, just to let you know.
Congratulations.
Anyways, thank you guys, man. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Tim.
You guys have me on the show, man. I'm out.
All right, and that's the Desert Storm, Tim Bradley, and we'll be back with more with Mystic Zach's Pick of the Week on the 3 Knockdown Rule.
Get ready for Zach's Pick of the Week here on the 3 Knockdown Rule podcast.
All right, time for the Mystic Zach Pick of the Week. You've been on a roll.
I have been.
You've been calling them pretty good. All right, what do you have for this week?
We got a lot of fights. Shinji Nakatani, Keyshawn Davis, Jaya Bataya, but my eyes are set on the heavyweight clash between Fabio Wardley and Justice Hooney, 2 undefeated heavyweight prospects. Hooney, a late second replacement for Gerald Miller, but I think it might be an even better fight. Fabio Wardley, big-time power, put a dent in Chev Clark's head, quite literally. He's a big-time heavyweight, and I think he encapsulated this fight really well when he told Hooney, listen, you need 12 rounds of perfection, I need 1 second. I think he finds that 1 second, he scores the knockout. It's at minus 140. I really like the odds here.
So there you have. That is the Mystic Zach Pick of the Week on the 3 Knockdown Rule.
Looking to go 12-1. Please like and subscribe. We're giving you the best picks every single week here in the 3 Knockdown Rule podcast. Yes, sir.
Final flurries.
All right, and welcome back to the 3 Knockdown Rule, brought to you by Hustler Casino, and that was Mystic Zach's Pick of the Week. Hey, folks, are you looking to get involved with the 3 Knockdown Rule and sponsor our show? We have some spots available. Please email us at info@boxbid.io. Once again, that's info@boxbid.io. Boxbid is an online platform that helps professional boxers connect with their fans by providing exclusive Fight Week merchandise, memorabilia, and sponsorships. You can even buy a shout-out on boxbid.io, who handles our sponsorships, and we are proudly working with them. Mario, quickly, final flurries. Jose Armando Resendiz, I don't know anyone that really thought he could win. He was about a 20-1 underdog. He just took the fight to Caleb Plant all night long.
Caleb must hate Mexican pressure fighters because after Canelo, Benavidez, and now Resendiz, it does not bode well for him with that style. I really like Caleb, too, as a fighter and as a person, family guy. But yeah, those reflexes look a little bit dulled. He starts off strong and then tends to fade, and that was the case here. We'll see if he exercises the rematch.
Round 3. Fight was going okay. That sweeping right hand that Resendiz landed, I thought changed the fight, hurt him in the 6th. I thought round 6 through 12, you could make an argument that Resendiz just flat out won every single round. In fact, 2 of the judges had it that way. Funny moment in round number 1, our guy Brian Campbell, I'm just watching the fight. I think you're at the Dodger game, and he just blurts out, hey, so what do you think about Resendiz? They asked him, well, you know, he looks like a young Mario Lopez. I said, really? That's what you first thing you thought? Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. There is a resemblance. He kind of looks like your nephew or cousin.
Or a son I had a while back. But handsome guy.
Oh, shut up. Very biased
congratulations to him, and congratulations to Manny Robles.
Manny Robles.
He's always good for a great upset.
The upset specialist, but when they said split decision, I was like, oh my God. Brian,
shame on that judge.
David Sutherland should be ashamed of himself. And I thought Jermall Charlo, look, he didn't have much in front of him. He had soggy cornflakes and LaManna. As Chris Rock once said, he did what he was supposed to. Friday night, I was actually at this card at the Virgin Hotel in Las Vegas. Beck the Bully and Darius Fulgham, pretty good fight.
Yeah, good fight. Congratulations to Beck the Bully.
I thought he edged it out. Eric Priest, Caden Griffiths, Joshua Edwards, and Gabe Flores, young Golden Boy prospects, I think have a ceiling. The young heavyweight Joshua Edwards, he's a heavyweight that is very athletic under the guidance of Ronnie Shields. I think he has a shot I hope he grows another inch or two, but he looks to have some tools. All right, well, that's it for this week's edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule. Again, if you want to sponsor our show, email us at info@boxbid.io. That's it for this week's edition of the 3 Knockdown Rule, brought to you by Hustler Casino.